Great music deserves great conversation, and today we do exactly that. And we have an amazing story to tell you today. My guest today didn't wait for an answer. He's built his career. He calls himself Music for Misfits, which I just absolutely love. And it's exactly the kind of artist this industry needs more of. It is Mr. CeeJay. You're here today. We're going to start a band. That's the name of the podcast. What would it like being in a band with you?
I would say it's fun. It's fun being in a band with me. But also maybe a bit annoying at times.
Way.
Well, because I want to get the best out of people. So like sometimes it's a case of going over grooves again, making sure timings are right, making sure we're playing to a click. So like it's fun and everything, but it's quite a lot of preparation to get it to where.
You're musicians. They're such perfectionists, aren't you?
Yeah.
So I would describe you as punky urban folk, like Red Hot Chili Peppers meets Eminem meets Bob Marley. Is that a fair fit? Would you say?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, pretty fair fit. It's
What would you do if you were to meet Red Hot Chili Peppers in a lift? You've got one question. What would you ask them?
what would I ask? Red Hot Chili Peppers. Oh,
I'm testing you earlier.
okay. I'd probably ask them something like, "What's the craziest thing you've seen while you've been on tour?" Off the top of my head, or what's the craziest thing that happened during a recording session or at a live gig, or yeah, something along the lines of that. The juicy stuff.
I bet they have some amazing stories as well. CJ, I want to go back to the beginning of your kind of your career and your route. What's your very first memory of music? Where were you? How old were you? What did it do to you at the time?
So my very first moment of music is probably going back to when I was, I don't know, like 4 years old, 5 years old, something like that. And it was dancing in the living room with my mum, listening to songs like Oasis, like Don't Look Back in Anger, songs like, like Babylon Zoo, Spaceman. Have you heard that track?
Mm.
Spaceman, yeah. Songs like that, going back. Um, But also as well, I got into music early on because my dad had a record collection, and when I got a little bit older, I wanted to go through his records because I always seen on TV. I was always into hip hop, and I always seen on TV that they would scratch the records. So I wanted to take his old records and scratch them. But every time I tried to do it, he was like, "No, no, no, my record." He had records like David Bowie, Let's Dance, Cream. There was a lot of Eric Clapton, a lot of rock. So that was really where I started off, like David Bowie, and rock music, definitely.
Talk to me about the first song you ever wrote. What was it called, and how do you feel about it now?
So I was using a program originally. No, actually, hold on. So I got electric guitar for Christmas. It was an Ibanez guitar, and me and my mate came round, and I was like, Yo, do you want to write a song?" We were in like primary one or primary two or something, or maybe a little bit older, primary three, around that age. And at the time, I hated school. And what I did, yeah, I just picked up the guitar and I just went, "School sucks, sucks." And then the next rhymes were, "When you go to school and you jump in a swim pool, sucks."
Playing any chords or just putting anything?
No chords. I didn't know what chords were. I still don't really know what chords are.
I love that. I absolutely love that. It's so funny, like speaking to artists of that initial moment, that initial flair where it all kind of comes from is brilliant. A question I ask every guest on this show, I really believe it's where careers are actually made. What's the biggest risk you've ever taken in your career, and how did it shape where you are today?
The biggest risk. Um, hmm. biggest risk. I would say, I think what shaped me today to get where I am is probably not having ego and going, because take it right back to where, like, I don't know, let's say like 7, 8, 9 years ago when I started like going to like open mics and stuff. I remember I had a Portuguese flatmate and he like used to play like Spanish flamenco stuff on the guitar. And I thought I was really good. Yeah. And one day he came to me and he went, "You know what, CeeJay? You've got a good voice, but what you're doing on the guitar is terrible. I'm sorry." I was like, "What?" At the time, I was like, I used to take guitars out at parties and like everyone was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." And no one told me I was not good. So in my mind, I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I'm really good." So he told me that. I think I sulked for about a day. And then I went, "Okay, I'm going to get a teacher to help me to work on my mistakes." And I think like throughout, it's just getting with whatever mentor I've gotten with, like a producer or whatever, and when they give me feedback, instead of getting like defensive about it, just going, actually, they can see from an outside point of view, um, where I can improve on. So I think that's something that's, I don't know if it's a risk, but that's helped me throughout so far.
I think it's so important to get constructive criticism and like really try and seek that out to improve because I always try and think of a moment like that, and actually they're only saying it because they care, and it's not trying to be personable. It's just trying to help you and improve it. On that basis, and there's obviously a lot of different influences coming in your music. If you could take one album from any artist in history, claim it as your own, what would it be and why?
One album, playing it as my own. Ooh,
Hmm.
let's see. I mean, that's a hard question. Can greatest hits count?
You can go with the greatest hits. I'm happy with that.
Yeah, like maybe David Bowie's greatest hits, possibly because there's so much good music in there, like across the board, really. Like
One on.
through.
I actually dressed as him for Halloween. So each year I dress as a musician and I say, if you've got a good brand, people can dress like you, speak like you, really embody who you are. And I do it. And David Bowie was my one for last Halloween. We have a lot of musicians that listen along, CJ. Talk to me about creative blocks because every artist has them. What's your strategy when the music stops coming? What do you do?
It usually means I'm approaching burnout and I need to take a break when that happens. Because if I try and push it, I just find like the quality of what I'm writing isn't as good. So it probably means I need to take a little bit of a break or do something different in my daily routine, or maybe like take some kind of trip away. Like I remember I ended up going to Germany one time. I wasn't writing anything, like, or what I was writing was just wasn't any of quality. And I took a trip to Germany and did a few gigs and stuff around there, and I came back and I started like writing better lyrics. And I think as well, sometimes just leaving a song and then coming back to it is a good idea as well.
Absolutely. How do you know when a song's finished? Because I think one of the hardest things in music is knowing that point. Perfectionist, you probably listen to it hundreds of times. Well, when do you go, yeah, good to go?
So I'll write a demo and then I'll keep making changes with it. And then sometimes I might take the demo to a producer and they'll either be like, "Okay, this is, I can see this is finished," or they'll be like, "Oh, you might need to work on this a little bit more." Because there's been times where I thought it's finished and then it hasn't. I would say now I'm getting better. It's getting to the point now where I'm taking demos to producers, and they're like, no, and they're like, "Oh yeah, 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 that's pretty much done now." So that's a good thing. So I think that means I'm getting better at songwriting. Yeah.
Incredible. Yeah, it's really exciting to hear that. I think it's great advice for anyone that's listening. If I was a fly on the wall for one of your recording sessions, what would surprise me most about how you work?
Mm. What surprised you most? Probably. That's a good question, but I don't quite know how to answer that. Can we come back to that one? Is that okay?
Of course, mate. Of course we can. I'm hoping some of your fans, CJ, will listen to this podcast. What's the topic of conversation you could talk about for hours that they might not know?
Movies. I love movies. I can talk about movies. Whereas I love gangster movies. I love sci-fi movies, action movies. Yeah, I'm a movie nerd, 100%.
What's your favorite?
So I love Tarantino movies.
Yep.
I'm a massive Pulp Fiction fan. Um, Goodfellas is one of my top films. There's a film called Faculty as well. That's one of my top films. Have you heard of it?
I have.
Yeah, really good film. I love Aliens, Predator, Jean Claude Van Damme films. Yeah, really.
I mean, it's really interesting to hear that because I wouldn't have known that. Even though I've known you for a little while, I didn't know that. It's new to me to understand. I'm guessing you get quite a bit of inspiration from those movies as well.
Yeah, definitely the sci-fi stuff. I really love space. I really love anything to do with aliens, and I think that's where the influence of working on different synth sounds comes from. Sci-fi movies. Um, yeah, because I'm working on some music at the moment, and I'm making it a little bit more electronic, and I think that's by watching these sci-fi movies that's really influenced that part of my brain. And that might surprise being in the studio as well. Actually, we're looking at all the different sounds, um, and maybe how much I want to do a take over and over again. I'm not always happy with a take. I want to keep doing it and doing it and doing it. Sometimes to my detriment. Sometimes it's at the point like I don't think we're gonna get a better take. I want to just keep going and going and be really like quite clinical about it and yeah, working on harmonies and stuff and making sure all the harmonies line up.
Absolutely. No, it's fascinating to hear, mate. For me, like not being as talented as you, it's seeing this and hearing this, understanding the musician's mind's incredible. But we're going to move to the next segment now. So this is the music news. So we've been told that Duffy is having a comeback to a traumatic experience, taking a long time out of music, and she's playing a very, very small, intimate show that people can apply for in London. So if you're lucky enough to get tickets, well done. Fontaine's DC paid tribute after death of manager. They described him as the sixth member of the band. That's Trevor Dietz. And we've also got Robert Smith says The Cure's next album is done with a really poppy and upbeat separate album also on the way. So there's some great music to go on that way. In terms of the industry as the whole moving forward, there's a lot of speculation about AI, CJ, of it being really negative, really bad. Other musicians going, well, we can't stop it. It's going to be happening. What's your take as someone that lives and breathes it, music?
Um, so to me, I feel like it's a new bit of technology that can be used if it's used in the right way. You know, for instance, you could use it as a thesaurus. You could use it as a dictionary. But I don't think you should use it to like make your music. I think that's not right. Because otherwise, I think like everything has to have human input in it in order to be human. But I think it's
Music's about being in person, the vibrations. I don't want it to be perfect. I think some of the best gigs I've been to, things do go wrong, things happen. That kind of for me is the fun of it. Um, and that human
yeah,
connection's got quite special.
yeah, yeah,
Okay, well, CJ, talk to me about what's coming up. For people that have enjoyed the podcast, enjoy what we spoke about today, what can they expect from you for the rest of this year?
So I got a few more gigs. I'm doing Salisbury Folk Festival next week. And then I'm doing a pirate festival called Pirate Parsley in July. And then I'm taking a bit of time out to work on some more demos. I've already recorded about 5 more. I'm looking to record another maybe like 5 to 10 potentially. Yeah, I'm kind of like, yeah, I'm excited for the future. But yeah, being creative, just working on music, and yeah, it's good. Yeah, I don't want to say too much, but yeah, watch this space.
Make sure you follow and make sure you understand and you are in the loop with it. CeeJay, thank you so much for coming on Let's Start a Band podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure. And some of the golden nuggets you put there with your strategy, consistency, I think it's a real great blueprint for the artists listening. I've been Josh Robinson. This has been Let's Start a Band. Great music, so it's great conversation. This was no exception. CeeJay, thank you so much for coming on today, mate.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Josh. Big love.
Appreciate it.